What would you do if you were like, I'm going to start over again right now and do something?
Well, my model doesn't work because already off the bat, it can't possibly work yet until assistants can do hygiene.
All right, Alex.
Yeah.
Today we're going to do a roundtable discussion. We brought on a previous guest, Erik, which was our class president.
Yep.
And he talked
Dr.
to us
Erik
about
Zundo.
about the ADA and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Most exciting
That was a
topic
good
ever.
episode.
And then, wait, you were being sarcastic?
No.
Oh, okay. I was a little bit.
I learned so much.
Erik was good on it. It's just the ADA. And then Deren, who we've known forever, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's been our friend for
Dr.
a long
Deren
time.
Flesher.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have to use it with the doctor. But what we wanted to talk about today was going through kind of, because Erik's fee for service, he's always been like that, right? Out of school. Deren and we've always just been PPO, which I believe, right, Deren? Haven't you? You've always been PPO, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think just going through like the paths of both. One, does it make sense to do one or the other? If you're going to do one, what are the expectations? 'Cause I feel like so much crap that you see now is either like one way of just like drop all your insurances, right, and you're fine.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that's going to be great.
That solves everything.
Yeah. Or some people on the other end are like, no, take every insurance under the sun. So I think it'd be fun just to have like people who are actually going through it, dentists who are in both kind of paths and just kind of shoot the shit about all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and Alex is coming on too.
Yeah.
No, so I mean, the first thing I wanted to ask you, Erik, because have you been fee for service the entire time you've been out of dental school?
Yes.
So like 12 years now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my first question to you is, and we can all jump in on it, is whenever I hear someone saying like, oh, just go fee for service, it's so easy. The first thing that always goes into my head is like, where are they located? Because I assume they have to be like somewhere really rich or fancy because where people have more disposable income and it doesn't really like matter at all. But you're in West Lafayette, Indiana, which is a college town. Yeah. It's not like by us like being in Boulder or being in like Beverly Hills. So like, how do you make fee for service work there?
So the big part of it is, coming into it, going into an office that's already fee for service, 12 years ago. I mean, things have changed a lot in 12 years, but, patients understand here's the price, and then the insurance, if they have it, will chip in. But, a couple things to remember is like, not everybody has insurance, so if you can build off of caring for people and doing things the right way and build trust in the community, that'll build your practice. And some areas, can have really good reimbursement. I don't necessarily think that the region I'm in has great insurance reimbursement for the people that are in network or out of network. So it's like, patients kind of get used to the idea that their insurance will do something, but probably not everything ever. And it's kind of interesting too, because you'll have people who've been with the practice for 10 years and are like, that have an insurance change. And they're like, oh, you guys used to take my insurance, but now you don't. And it's like, we've been this way for 40 years.
We've never taken your insurance. Yeah.
We filed it for you. And it's hard. It's hard to navigate because we have big employers. There's Purdue University's, half mile down the road, big Subaru plant, these other, Caterpillar. So I think it's tough because if you're trying to make that work, you need to build a good rapport with the people and take care of the people. And that is not possible in every environment. And I understand there are areas that are completely overrun with insurance. And if you're not in the game, good luck.
Yeah.
So it's like, totally. Yeah.
So like, how does it work though too? So even though you guys say you're fee for service, if you break that down, I guess you still accept insurance, right? It's just, you guys will file. So what do you guys will do? You guys will file it for the patient. And like, so what percentage of your patients that come into your door, like true cash patients versus patients that have insurance with out-of-network benefits?
It's probably about 45% are cash patients. And, so they're, obviously those people are like, hey, yep, here's the fee. it's easy for me on my side because my staff is like, hey, this is the fee, this is it. We'll file the claim for all the patients. We'll file those claims. We still work really hard to get the reimbursement done and get clean claims submitted. And we still should be very clear that there's a huge difference between fee for service and out of network. I would say I'm out of network in the process of trying to get my systems to the point where I can truly say I'm fee for service, that we collect day of service and that's it. But we're not perfect, and it's a work in progress. And we've been evolving for 12 years now. But with those patients that look for somebody they trust, there are plenty of places around, and you guys can all see this, places where the dentistry is done purely for the business side of it, and patients can sniff that out really quickly. And so some patients may say, the conversation ends when we say, yeah, we're not in network with your plan, but if you have out of network benefits, we can file those and send those off. We just don't know exactly what it'll be. I don't really get into the game of pre-authorizations and estimates for new patients. I just say, hey, here's the total fee first time, and then we'll have you pay at time of service and go from there. And that's a conversation ender for a lot of patients. And then they go someplace else. And then we get a call from them in 6 months and said, hey, I think we do want to try and set something up. And you find out that they had insurance, they'd gone someplace else that was trying to ring them up for quite a bit of work, or stuff that they just didn't feel comfortable with, or yeah. So
well, I mean, do you ever feel that squeeze, Deren? Because like we're always been PPO, right? So yeah, if you're starting and you're taking like Delta or you're taking stuff, sometimes you feel that pressure to be like, I'm getting paid like jack shit, right? And you're like, all right, how do I increase my fees here? So, I mean, have you felt that pressure, Deren, that you've had to do that?
Fortunately, no. I mean, I do take a lot of PPOs and TPAs and umbrellas and all that, but our fee schedule is good enough. And I think the bottom line, whether it's me or Erik or any other practice, is you have to do whatever makes enough money for the practice to survive. So I think you can't go one extreme or the other. You probably can't take every insurance under the sun at the lowest fee schedule, but you being out of network from the very beginning and fee for service, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle on volume as well. So you kind of probably want to land somewhere in the middle, I think, on having enough volume, but at the right fees. And if you can do that with insurance, great. And if you can't, then maybe you have to explore out of network or fee for service options as well. I think in an ideal world, we don't have insurance involved and we just get to deliver care directly to patients. But unfortunately, they've got the benefit, they want to use it. You've got big employers in the area. Kind of to Erik's point, like I can literally see Paycom headquarters, and fortunately, they buy Delta Premier for their employees. So like it's a win-win for me to take Delta Premier and serve those patients. But I get it where a lot of people can't, and they have to just kind of find other ways to add additional clinical services, or make sure that they are doing more than just a prophy mill, more than just basic dentistry. Like you've got to start to find other ways to make money, hopefully ethically, but you can't always
like
just
the
do
ethically
what's in front of you to do it.
Like I know when we graduated and we moved out to Colorado, right? One of the first offices I worked at was like a DSO office, and they took like everything under the sun. So it was like, HMOs, I don't know if they took Medicaid or not, but like pretty much all HMOs, all PPOs. The problem is though, when you said like ethically on it, like with those HMOs, those plans would maybe reimburse like $250 for a crown, right? So like nothing. But then when I would see treatment plans come and like they would go over it with patients, I was like, how did this fee get to like $1,100? And it was like a $500 cosmetic upgrade, a $250 lab upgrade, like all this kind of stuff. And then for me personally, that like ethically was very hard to get over, because I was like, the patient's coming in with the expectation that they shouldn't have to pay as much, and they don't, and they're kind of almost, I feel like, being tricked into paying more. So I don't know. I always struggle with that with HMOs.
Well, and to that point, it's like there are some people only take one PPO. That doesn't mean they're a PPO dentist. Some people take 3 PPOs. Some people don't take any. And so a lot of times we think about like that stress. It does not mean, and I personally don't think that people who do participate are somehow ringing up every patient, because like Deren said, If your reimbursement's good, you're good to go. In my area, it is not. They treat us, I mean, we're an hour north from one of the wealthiest cities in the state, and they treat us like we are on the prairie at a cavalry fort, fending off people in the frontier. Like they treat us like we're backwoods.
Yeah.
And it's just because they can. They just, we don't care. It's fine. Reimbursement's not going to go up. My big push is that legislatively, we're losing ground. And if I could wave my wand, I would want everybody to make the best decision to just do dentistry. Like Deren mentioned, I wish we could just not deal with insurance. And Eric, you had Dante Carlaccio on an episode. He's in Canada. They don't have PPOs. There's no preferred provider network at all. And it eliminates that kneecapping of fees. Your fees are your fees, but the reimbursement's going to be pretty standardized across the board. That would be nice. That would be really nice. But people like to participate so they can drive patients to their office.
I mean,
so it's understandable.
I always felt too, like just going through it, and now that we've sold our practices and stuff, I mean, I can see the argument for how you kind of become a little bit more of a commodity dentist if you're like heavy in insurance, right? Or your office is like that. Because we had tons of patients who were like, they were really good patients, and we would see families, right? And they switched. We actually went a few years ago from going like Delta PPO to Premier just because the reimbursements were better. And we lost some families, right? And they would even say though, like, hey, we love seeing you, but I can't pay $300 out of pocket. I'm used to doing that. I'm going to go down the street. And so like in our area, I always thought it would be tough to deal with that. Even when we didn't even really drop in insurance, we just kind of like switched the plan within that. But I don't know. I feel like if you're so if like for listeners and stuff like that, if anyone's like deciding like what route to take, I don't know. I personally feel like if you're going to go like eventually the out of network or fee for service route, you really have to try to like differentiate yourself even more, right? Because you're not using like a subsidy like insurance to get patients in. I mean, do you guys, I felt that way. I feel like you have to have more, you still should have a good relationship. I feel like it's more important if you're out of network.
Yeah, I mean, kind of echoing what you said, we kind of think of ourselves as like a fee-for-service feel. You know, we've got headphones and blankets and Netflix and massage chairs and all sorts of stuff that try to have an upgrade as far as the feel. And we have iTero scanners and all sorts of technology, CBCT, 3D printer. I mean, we can do it all with our fees. But as you said, if we change our participation or they change their employer sponsored plan, like, and we're not in their network, or they move 3 miles down the road, we've been really surprised at how many people don't value the relationship. We are just a commodity, even with all the bells and whistles, and we know them by name, and we say hello and talk about their family and their vacation. We try to do things in a kind of fee for service, out of network feel in a way. But ultimately the dollar drives everything in these relationships. And so if it's too far of a drive or your insurance changes, we've been surprised by that quite a bit.
Deren, how do you feel as far as when you think of competition? I mean, is everybody in your area participating and has that feel, have those bells and whistles? Are you truly having to keep elevating?
I mean, I feel like we stand out quite a bit in a positive way with all that stuff we do. I mean, we get tons of new patients every month, have hundreds of positive reviews on Google. I mean, we're doing all the things we can do to not totally depend on the insurance driving, people in to see us, but still that's top of the list as far as what makes their decision in the end, especially after they become an established patient. Like, all that stuff kind of goes out the window, and now we're talking dollars. It's the same thing with team members and benefits. Like, what do I make per hour? That's the thing that they care about. So in the same way, patients are thinking about, like, what does my insurance pay for? Like, I don't care about you or your practice or your technology or any of that stuff. Like, I don't want to spend any money here if I don't have to. So interestingly, like, a fee for service startup just started literally across the street from me. I can throw a stone and hit their practice, and I see almost no cars over there. And he's been open probably close to 6 months. So I know it's a struggle. I mean, if you did a true fee for service startup, in a heavy PPO area, I think you really have to differentiate with your service mix.
That's
you
what I
need to be doing full mouth
absolutely, and I think
rehabs or all on X or something.
that's
Yeah.
that's what people need to know. Like they'll go on Facebook and these groups and stuff and be like, oh, startup, we do fee for service right out of the gate. And I don't know where they're getting some of this information. It's like that, unless you have a brand or you have something super niche or you're in a good part of a city or whatever it is, like everything's pointing in the right direction for you.
Like you're providing, like Deren was saying, you're providing a service that no one else does in your area. Like
that would be so hard.
Like,
I'd love to do that. I'd love to have done a start out or just fee for service, but you need people in the door. You need to be able to pay your one staff member, just to survive. And going fee for service right off the bat would be very, very difficult.
I even think too, like Deren and I went to a lot of like the breakaway stuff, right? Back in the day, Eric.
You guys did?
And Alex.
Yeah.
See, I include her when I include Alex only sometimes. I'm the worst at it. No, but even with that, like Scott would tell us, right, in that, take medicated first. So like when we did our startup practices, we took everything. And the reason
get butts in the seats.
Yeah. And the reason was like, you take it, you need to like get patients in, and then you can start to like take stuff off. But his whole thing was like, take everything out of the sun, get butts in the seat, get chairs going, get it moving. Yeah, reimbursements are really bad on it. There's tons of other issues, right? Dealing with like government payers, right? Like it's tough. But I mean, we did that and I thought it worked well. Did you end up doing that too, Deren, or not?
I didn't quite go as far as like Medicaid, and I still don't have a ton of terrible fee schedules, but I mean, the concept there was a proportion of your budget is always going to be fixed costs. At the very beginning, it's all fixed costs. Like you've got nothing variable. Like you've got your rent is a significant portion of your overhead. So even if you're not getting a good reimbursement, it's better than zero reimbursement from somebody not being in the chair at all. And so over time, the concept is whittle away at the lower ones or renegotiate the ones that are renegotiable as you get some leverage and some volume. And then, trim it down and have better, reimbursement per interaction as you go, as you start to fill up at capacity. But first get capacity and then make some decisions from there.
Yeah, I think you guys have hit on something tangentially, which is incredibly important. It's location. It is, and people used to say it's rural versus city. It's not. It's saturated versus unsaturated, and I've been pounding that drum forever. Deren, I would be scared shitless to open my office across the street from you. I would never do that in a million years. You have something going that sounds incredible. Just like you guys said, what would differentiate me from you? I mean, I've got this suave gray hair. That's not going to do it. You
don't have a beard, so you don't have that going for you.
No, I need, yeah. So it really comes down to this idea that, like, Eric, you touched on breakaway. Well, yeah, if you want to compete with this generation of dentists who's been on the way out for the last 10 years, yeah, you can wow some people pretty quick. My dad's a no bells and whistles kind of dentist. He's still a dentist. He's been practicing for 45 years. He's a great dentist, but he's not, he doesn't have a scanner. I think he has phosphor plates, but he's a great dentist, and that's what works. If somebody wants to go to my hometown and set up shop and treat people well, they'll crush it. But not a lot of people are being like, well, it's either, gorgeous Colorado or Vermilion County, Illinois. Like there's not no draw. But if you want to go crush it, do that. But yeah, golly, it's a saturation issue. Where you want to compete? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you
the bar
think
is
about
pretty, the bar to wow people?
Is it low?
Oh, go ahead.
No.
It's super low. I mean, the bar, it's a blanket and a TV. I mean, that's it.
A neck pillow, and then you're way over the top if you've done that too.
Like with our kids, it's like fruit snacks. Got it. Done.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Best dad
Well,
ever.
like, what do you guys think in terms of like scalability? So if you were like, hey, Eric, if you came from it and you were like, which it's a whole nother issue on business and dentistry and like how connected those should or shouldn't be, right? I think that's a separate topic. But like, if you were like, I'm going into dentistry, I want to build 5 offices, I want to take over like this kind of county, and do you think you can do that fee for service? I feel like PPO is much more scalable. If your goal was, I want to build a bunch of practices, own them, keep them forever if they're doing well, sell them at some point, right?
Yeah. No, I would never. Fee for service is very relationship based. A lot of people are like, don't buy a fee for service practice. As soon as you go in there, as soon as that doc retires, they'll all leave. That's not true necessarily. As long as you're not an idiot and you're caring honestly, you really won't see that slaughter. But I can't replicate myself. I have an associate. She's amazing, and I've known her for a very long time, and if she wasn't, she wouldn't be here. It's like you have to have multiples of you. And I'm assuming with the PPO setup, you don't have to be perfect at that language and the framing for the patients. You can scale, you can plug and play a new associate here and there, and you'll be fine. But no, I can't dominate this county. And I could do a large group practice on my name, but not multiple locations.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, going back to replicating yourself, you should probably talk. Didn't Tom Brady just clone his dog? You should see how he did that.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, do you think? I feel like that's the case, Deren. Like, because I feel like, I don't know, myself or Alex, we kind of came in. I'll include you on this one.
Oh, thanks.
We came in with more of like business minded. Like, we wanted to come out that dental entrepreneur that like is like so overused nowadays. I feel like everyone's a dental entrepreneur, but
it's dentalpreneur.
Dentalpreneur. That's Costas' thing.
Oh.
Yeah, he coined that.
He coined the term.
Yeah. I feel like we all came when we graduated because we all graduated 2013, or were you 2012, Deren? You were saying
2013.
Yeah. I feel like that was such like a cool thing to do then, right? Because you'd heard some dentists that were like, hey, they built a few offices, they sold them, they made a shit ton of money. And then I think a bunch of us came out then and were like, yeah, that's what I want to do, right? Like, I don't want to be a dentist for 40 years and like have all these neck problems and back problems. I'm going to figure out how to grow a bunch of practices and sell them. And I feel like that's like the mindset we came at a little bit more. Mm-hmm. No, you didn't?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You came along for the ride, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I mean,
true.
kind of to Erik's point, like, I didn't put my name on the practice. Like, it's not Flesher Dentistry. It's got a brand name. It's got a logo. I built 8 ops from day one to have 2 doctors minimum in there. Like, it was built for business from day one. But as you're going through it and scaling and all that, like, you have to kind of play the hand you have, which at the beginning, I'm small, I'm not corporate, I'm local, I'm one of you. Like, you have to play that hand until all of a sudden, like, you don't want to be the one in the chair, and now you become, not literally corporate, but more corporatized as far as being. You kind of do commoditize yourself in the sense of, we still try to value the relationships and know them by name, but like the dentist might change. Team members do change, and so it's less longevity, less tenure. That sounds like Erik's office. Like, they really focus on making sure it's the perfect fit, not just a good enough fit. So that's a little bit different between offices. So I recognize it has pros and cons. And from what's sellable, what's scalable, I think this, my model is more of both of those. But if it's a practice you want to practice in and you want to have, better dollars per interaction and slow down and take your time and all that kind of stuff, like, that's not the PPO model, not in the same extreme that fee for service could be. So, there's trade-offs for either one. Depends on what you want out of it.
Well, and I think we got to be really honest. Like, dentistry's hard. It's hard to be average. And when you come out of school, like, you don't know anything. You're just cranking, trying to slog through. It's hard. And so a lot of times, like, I think I missed the memo on that, like, build up a bunch of practices and sell. I totally was just like, in the op, get better. And dentistry's hard. So anybody listening to this, you don't feel alone, because we're talking about things that are so much further down the road, but understand that we also went through that, and it drove us to do the things that we're doing, whether it's to build up and kind of step back or just enjoy the pace a little bit better. But I will say this, like, it's not a bad idea to go work for a good corporate program when you come out. It's not, I'm not against that. It's like, you'll learn, they'll get you some reps, and reps are good, but not all reps are good reps, so, just understand that, like, I can be a hardliner online about this stuff, but it's more so looking at the next 5 to 20 years of keeping us insulated from the slide of insurance. So I think that my hardline kind of approach on this, which is the best model? Well, my commentary is more so to protect the profession in general, because if we're all in network, everybody's going down. So, it's competition, and I think Bob D and I get into that tussle a little bit, where he's going to try to, he's competing with so he's PPO in a couple areas, but he's also, his biggest threat are that corporate office that's, taking his patient base. So I don't know. I think we've got to kind of band together a little bit, and the ADA is not helping. So anyway, that's my shtick.
If you like our podcast, check out Alex's newsletter, Just 2 Minutes. It's full of great advice, which makes sense considering it's her thoughts and not me sidetracking her every 2 seconds. You can subscribe at coupleofdentists.com. The link is in the show notes. Now, back to the pod. Yeah. I mean, Alex, you always said too, so we were talking about a couple nights ago, what would you do if you were like, I'm going to start over again right now and do something?
Well, my model doesn't work because already off the bat, it can't possibly work yet until assistants can do hygiene, pretty much. So if we can pass that hurdle somewhere, I would open up these hygiene bars pretty much, and those would be fee for service. There would be, like, we'd file your insurance for you. That's fine. But I'd have that. And then attached to it would be like a super niche type of either holistic dentistry or something else that's just,
where you can
I'm the only person in, 20,
something
40
that
miles
differentiates you.
That's completely different. And I would charge whatever I wanted.
Yeah. So you can charge like $1,000.
And then I would duplicate that in multiple cities. Like it would expand. I would expand.
You would have it as more of like a center. So you'd kind of.
Yeah, that's what I do. Not me working.
So you'd
there.
have like
I'm
a
not
hub
clinical.
and spoke model, and then you'd have like the hub and spoke model, and you guys would dress like the people in ET at the end when they're like invading the house and they're in the suits and all that. That's how you'd practice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reese's Pieces everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Something where, and maybe it's not holistic. Maybe it's like something very implant related or just something very different. That's not, we'd obviously do the regular stuff, but I would take myself out of it. It wouldn't be me.
Yeah. But how would you handle that then? Because her and I always go back and forth on debating between like when we were building our practices, I was always like, the associate driven model, I don't know how you're going to do that and have multiple offices where like it's just you as the owner, but you own 5 practices, you don't have any partners, and you're just relying on associates to work them all. And you felt like that wouldn't be an issue from your end.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it is an issue.
I always thought it would be an issue because you have so much turnover, potentially. And any good associate would just leave.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It is a huge issue. I don't know. Your answer to that was just like, oh, give them equity. And it's like, well, I don't like sharing. So
yeah, that is true. And I have more of a fear mindset. So
yeah.
I probably am anticipating what would happen. And then honestly, it probably just comes back to not wanting to do the work when the thing happens, right? Like, I don't mind firing someone. That doesn't bother me. It's now that I have to go on Indeed, put in an ad, check on the ads, try to get a hold of someone, do all that. So I think my deterrence towards a lot of stuff isn't like doing the event, which is getting rid of the person. It's all the work that comes after it where I get frustrated.
I mean, and there is a lot of work finding like a good fit.
Yeah.
Like being that associate. Like, don't hire me. I will definitely leave after a year to build my own thing. Like you're not looking for an associate that is a business mindset. So, and it's also not looking for like a C player that just does like whatever and is terrible at dentistry.
I think Deren and I and you have all joked about it before. Like, we are like the worst associates, right? Like, didn't you say that too, Deren? Like, you are not a good associate. I felt like I was not.
I mean, Yeah, the best associate, the perfect associate is not going to stay with you because
Yeah.
they are wired to go do this for themselves. So you need somebody who like just loves dentistry, loves clinical, but isn't a good leader, isn't super charismatic, isn't like invested in the business at the level you are. Because if you have that, they're not doing it for you. They're going to go do it for themselves.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Well, you got to look at the demographics too of who's graduating and what they want. It's not like the old days where it's like 90% male graduates who are the sole breadwinners. You're getting a lot of, female graduates who are saying, "Hey, my spouse does this too, and we've got to then find a place that we can do both." And it seems like the right, associateships are, or lifer associateships are probably more common than they were even 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so to Alex's point where Alex is talking about this model, well, that model in a very small way could work probably in Indianapolis, but it wouldn't work in Tippecanoe County where I'm at,
Yeah.
And then we play to the idea that you guys just talked about this. You have to staff. You have to not just staff dentists. You got to staff hygienists. You got to staff assistants. The hardest ones are the dentists and the hygienists. And so if you're trying to build an empire, you got to go, it's probably not here. I know some people have tried, but it's a big world, but it's just really what you want to do. And I don't think that all dentists coming out are entrepreneurial in any way. We look at our class. I mean, how many have really gone off to do bigger things other than solo practice? I mean, I haven't. I'm still a solo doc, and I feel like I get out there and I like to develop and build, but it's still just me pretty much. I mean, I have an associate, but I don't know.
Okay, so since Eric opened up the whole gender can, right? Which I could tell you
tipping-
like treading
tippy-toe
very
around that a
lightly.
little bit.
I was like, is he gonna start quivering his lip a little bit when he starts saying this? Let's have Alex actually
what
talk
now?
about this because she's
No,
the resident woman here,
yeah,
and
but
it's okay for her to
I
say
think
it
I'm
now.
I'm a little bit more masculine.
Oh yeah,
than
me or
room here.
most men. Yeah, probably. In a good way, that's a compliment. But no, because what are your kind of what he was alluding to is like. I think what you're kind of getting at, maybe a little bit, Eric, is because demographics are changing. Of more females are graduating dental school, right? Isn't there more now? I mean, like
think so.
you have institutions that have been set up, and dental has been so male dominated for so long that like you have an institution that's set up maybe more on how, if you were saying men think or men want to do things or goals they have, right? And if you can acknowledge there's differences between men and women, which I believe there are, right? I think Alex can say that too. Like there might be now you have an institution that is now leaning more and changing its demographic to more women. Like does that change how you model things out, how you do practices? Like do dentists now have different motivations now because of that? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you need to talk on this because if I continue, it's going to get. I'll get in trouble.
That's fine. No. I think that dentistry is a great profession for women because we can have the ability to own our own offices and do our own thing. But when we get pulled away from children or doing other things, the office stops, right? You don't get paid. What are you supposed to do? So I think it's so much easier being a man, honestly. Like you just go to work and you come home and dinner's made for you and stuff, but we won't get into that. It's a lot harder. So I think having I think it's going to shift to like the woman associate, female associate is going to be like, I want to work part-time. And you're just going to need to have a couple female associates and they all kind of shift their work schedule around each other. When someone's pregnant, the other two work a little bit more. And when the other one's pregnant, they all band together. And I think that's kind of what is going to have to...
There's an office out here in Colorado. Isn't there one in like where we live? There's an office where it's like a group of like 4 or 5 females. And I mean, I get that makes sense, right? Because then they can all kind of cover for each other. I mean, it's just the truth, right? Like if you're a female dentist and you want to have kids, that is something you're going to have to address at some point, right? I mean, you had to, right? Yeah. Like that was tough for you, right? Because it's a lot tougher for you guys than it is for us, right? I mean, it is because.
Well, I didn't want to go back after like 3 weeks of having a kid. So I wanted to take that time off. And luckily Eric was there and we had an associate at the time too. To kind of
but the production dipped. I'm way worse of a producer than she is. So that didn't go too well.
But I think it's just like you said, setting expectations of like, okay, this is what we're walking into, and then just hiring accordingly, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost one female associate when she had her baby. They moved to California to be near family, to have help, and that was a choice they made. And then I've got a current female associate that just got engaged like a month ago, and she gave me her 8 months notice when her now fiance graduates med school and goes into residency. Like, she's going to go follow him wherever he goes, because in this, kind of what you were talking about a little while ago, Alex, you were kind of hinting at it, is it's transferable. Like, you don't have to be static. You don't have to stay put. Like, our skills, you can plug those in anywhere, any state, any practice within reason. If you don't have a super niche practice, like, you can hop around. And so the business of dentistry has kind of gotten commoditized in that way too. Like, it's no longer like, this is my practice, this is my town. Like, it's just a job for some people, and they value the flexibility that being an associate offers, where you don't have liability and risk and all that stuff. But you also have to realize there's much more limited upside to what's possible. Like, your salary and what you take home is going to be a much narrower window compared to what an owner could be, which could be negative, lose everything, but it could be 7 figures or more if you really grow a big group practice or a large single location or whatever you choose to do. Like, it could be a lot of money, it could be literally less than nothing. Where being an associate, like, it's pretty well defined. You kind of know based on what that practice is doing, what the person you replaced was doing. Like, you kind of know, you can kind of come and go and no big deal. So yeah, I mean, I've seen that in my own practice. The dynamic of a female practicing dentist changes kind of the setup of the office and the flexibility you might want to have built into your policies and leave and all that kind of stuff. And I hope dental schools realize this over time. It's just statistics and math. Like, if you skew this to be more female, but you don't increase the total quantity of graduates, and they are going to more part-time or more flexibility, or they stay home from work to have kids, like, that's all good. I respect and want that for them. But, like, the amount of dentistry that's getting done is less overall because, they're not in the office 40 hours a week or 32 or whatever the guys are doing. So, I think that's a topic worth discussing at some point too, is like, should there be more total quantity of dentists, knowing that full-time equivalent is much lower than it ever was, because, the shift and dynamic of being female has changed that. So, but I think it's all just something to react to and be aware of. And it works for my practice. I like the dynamic of having female dentists there. Like, it's nice to have requests for male and female and preferences there, where we didn't have that previously. So I like that.
Everyone's going to pause for 2 seconds because everyone's like, I'm not saying anything.
Where's this going?
Where do we go from here?
Well, we've talked about genders. Let's talk about religion next. I guess.
Yeah. Election day was this week too. We can go there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let's get the most listening record here.
And we'll be canceled by the end of this episode.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So Deren touched on the idea that, like, with the dental schools putting out more, and I think one of the forums just was one of the Bob D. I mean, to bring Bob up again, because he's out there, he's vocal. He was saying, more dental schools need to close, and it's like, woo, wait. And my point is, it's not volume that's the issue; it's the distribution. Some areas, like, you hear people talking about, oh, I'm in Southern California, I can't find a place to work. They're going to give me like $400 guarantee for like 3 days, and then I'm on my own for production, and it's all Medicaid. And then it's like, you might have to start looking a little further out, South Florida.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more of that, like, entitlement of, like, I'm a dentist, so that automatically means I should make a lot of money wherever I want to be. And it's like, well, maybe that isn't the case. Like, the practice that in Newport, when we had that practice, I mean, what were the demographics on that?
Oh, like 1 in 700. It was disgusting.
it was so, like, when we say, like,
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was so hard. I mean,
but I had the wrong mentality. Don't do what I did, right? I mean, but I also wanted to be on, like, a cosmetic niche
track.
Yeah. So it was very different, and you have to go to where that is. But if, besides the hygiene holistic model thing that I just described, if I was just coming out of school and I wasn't married and didn't, or if whoever, man or woman, yeah, I'd be going rural. I'd be going somewhere where there is no dentist and setting up shop and just killing it. I don't know. If
Yeah,
my
but would
if
you do that
Well, and
long
then-
term?
no, of course not. I wouldn't, because and I try to find an so that's my thing, because
So it kind of goes back, like, and I've had some of these like existential crises since like selling, right? Is like, and this is going to go way off on a different tangent,
Okay.
but like the whole concept of like marrying business and dentistry, and if like the whole concept, if the whole point of dentistry or any healthcare profession is like to provide patients with the best provider giving the best care, like, should business be in that? Like, should we be making business decisions that can affect that? Like, even if it's not purposely done, right? Like insurance does that, right? I can only get paid
Yeah.
this much. Well, I now, in order to run a business, have to see 2 crown preps in that time. That's faster than I normally like to go. Well, then could you make an argument that I could have done? I mean, there's at some point, right? Like we had kids in dental school who would spend 6 hours doing a crown prep, and you can overdo something, right? Like there's still like a time you should do something, but like if the ultimate goal is like provide patients with the best care from the best provider, like, do I want my dentist to like be a genius at P&Ls, or do I want him to be like a genius at knowing everything dental, right? And I've kind of had that struggle internally with that.
But it leads to that bigger question
Yeah.
of why are we capping ourselves at $680 for a crown? Like, why are we capping ourselves at $42 for a pro fee? That's the thing that bugs the shit out of me is that this profession cannibalizes itself. We're told that I think you guys touched on that, like opening a place with a bad business plan. Who are the people cheerleading this? Well, it's the people who profit off of that. It's some consultants, some coaches, some accountants, some sales reps. They're the one, people who'd say, here's the plan, here's the blueprint, this is what I did, you can do it too. Yeah. That's an industry. We know that's a clearly massive industry. Mm-hmm. And I think it's giving a lot of false hope to a lot of people, just like the people that run around saying you just need to drop insurance. And then somebody pipes up and said, hey, I told Delta I was dropping them. And then they sent this letter to my patients, and my patients are just leaving in droves. Well, you didn't control the narrative. You did not do the things that you need to do to make smart decisions. It's like I feel like I go out of network every single day, and it's like you can say, well, aren't you already out of network? Well, no, because every single day a patient calls in and doesn't realize, they're like, I want to see Dr. Zundo. I've somebody referred me to him. Oh, he's out of network. I can't see him then. So it's like, I fight this battle still but I don't know. So anyway, don't know where I was going with that, but I think that we kind of need to think bigger, and I wish there was better leadership nationally in organized dentistry, period.
Yeah, I mean, just fighting for fees, I think, is kind of where you're going with that. Like, we don't want to be a race to the bottom and volume and cranking out dentistry. Like, it needs to be a fair exchange of both Erics are saying similar things, where like what we get compensated for what we do needs to match the quality and the speed at which it requires to do it. And somebody needs to be looking over all that to make sure it all aligns, or else, you're having to work too fast for too little money, and, the patients suffer and they think it's the greatest thing ever because they got to use their coupon to come see you, but they don't know any different. So, yeah.
Right. Well, and it's not a free market agreement. It's not a free market. It's not. It is manipulative. To me, it feels like a massive antitrust lawsuit waiting to happen. Where it's like you get threatened all the time. My patients get letters all the time. Hey, you could be saving money if you went to somebody else. Here's a list of the 4 places nearby. And it's like, I couldn't even name what the name of the dentist is in any of those places, because it's just a constant churn. And it's frustrating because, again, nationally, I think there's just a lot of protections, and every state's different. Some states have figured it out. Some states are so far behind, and areas are so saturated that gaining leverage for the profession would be a massive uphill battle. But some states, I think, I think you could probably still help protect and make quality of care better for the patients, more affordable for the patients. But yeah, so I think that's the bigger picture, whether we're in network or not.
Yeah, I mean, and we've even seen too, because Deren and I we've sold practices to like corporate offices, right, or groups, or whatever you want to say with it, and at least kind of where I've come from, it is like there's pros and cons to everything. I'm not like super convinced that it's gonna like completely take over. I think that was like a common theme like a few years ago. That's like everyone was freaked out. Like, all right, well, you're gonna if you sell to a DSO or DSO is gonna take over, they all take PPOs. They don't give a shit because they'll just pay their associates. Like they don't care what they're paying the associate, whatever. I have a feeling we might see a little bit of a revert back to like just like the Erik Zundo practice, and that might actually start to do better in the future because I don't know. I think that might start to happen. But then I go back to it and I'm like, yeah, but now like 20-year-olds really don't get like, our parents' age cared, I think, more about their relationship with their doctors and their dentists and their pharmacists, right? And then now you see like and it's stereotyping, but like I think younger people just see it as like, oh, well, this is just a dental office. I assume it's just, this is just the dentist. Like some of them don't even remember my nname, right?
Well, that brings up what I call, it's kind of like the Amazon Prime effect. Everybody wants everything done within 2 days, and they want it lowest price possible. And that's the way we're all. I mean, even older generations are that way now. It's immediacy. We're all told if you just hit 2 buttons on your phone, you're done. You have that thing in your doorstep in 2 days. And so when a patient calls in and we tell them, yeah, we don't have any openings next week, let alone in the next 4 months, they freak out. They're like, are you shitting me? Like, do you not care? If you don't care about me, then I don't care about you. Even though how much, I tell my staff, hey, do not lead with the fact that our first open appointment is March 3rd. We don't tell anybody that, they'll freak out. But everybody wants the result. They want to be seen now, and that is hard. So we are in an uphill battle against that mentality.
So how do you deal with then?
Yeah.
Is that how booked out you guys are?
Oh, I mean, if I looked right now, I'm probably booked out till, 6 or 7 months. Yeah.
Like, wait, booked out which way? Just hygiene or also like treatment?
Oh, hygiene treatment, still booked out about a month and a half.
Jeez. So then do you ever see that as like a capacity issue? And I mean, is that why you brought an associate on?
Well, I took over the other dentist in my building, and he had been practicing for 42 years. Not a fast-paced heavy hitter, just kind of an easygoing lifestyle. And so he kind of timed it because he's known my associate's family forever, and he's known my associate forever. And he kind of timed it for her graduation from dental school, and just was like, but there was a point he's like, yeah, I'm out. I'm out. And I had to put on some roller skates, and that we lost patience because of that, because I couldn't fit in a crown for a patient who'd been root canaled. And the endodontist said, hey, you should probably get a cap on this thing quick. And so the patient took that as, oh my God, I got to get in within 2 weeks. And we had him booked out a month and 3 days, and it was not happy. So yeah, we're through this now. We're better, but it's still busy, because we're still getting the associate up to speed, but it's a good problem to have.
Where my mind goes, just based on the way I'm wired and how we operate with kind of what I was talking about earlier about just taking everything and then whittle it down later. Like, you've already whittled it all the way down, and you still have a supply and demand issue. Like, if I was in your shoes and I didn't see that resolving itself kind of organically, I would be even raising my fees even higher, to be honest. Like, I need to find this equilibrium of like, everybody's happy with how booked we are. New patients are getting in on time, but old patients are happy with it as well, and I'm getting paid well, and so I'd be looking to raise my fees, to be honest.
Darren, that's a sharp idea, because when I look at this, I'm the only reason I have not rocked the boat on a lot of this stuff is I do feel like we have a fair fee, but we're still folding in patients from the previous dentist. We're still kind of getting everybody settled from this other practice. Now, it wasn't an equal size to my practice, even though we shared the building 50-50, but I still want to make sure we're caring for those folks, giving everybody a shot to meet me once, twice, 3, 4 times, or the new associate. But you're right. When you look at it at an economic level, a smarter person than me would probably raise fees, but
so actually, speaking of that, because was that other dentist fee for service as well too, or out of network? So whose fees? were his fees lower? Did you have to bump all of his patients up to yours, or were you guys kind of close? Like, how did you handle that?
We all know Erik wants more friends. If you're enjoying this episode, share the podcast and then tell them to DM Erik so he can hit his quota of 1 new friend per day. Now back to the episode.
So his fees were pretty close to crown fees and pro fees. So preventive care is pretty similar.
Okay.
It was within $15. The crown fees were within like 30 or $40. The only difference was restorative when it came to direct restorations. It was we just patched it up, and it was and patients were used to getting ideas of, every time it pops off, it'll be at $50 a time.
It was an MODBL on every tooth. Yeah.
and that's work, and that worked. And mine, I put everything into every filling. Like literally, I will look at a DO on number 3 and just put everything I have into it, and I charge a fair fee. I'm not at the 100th percentile. I'm at the 90th. I'm probably at the 70th percentile, but I'm not in network.
Yeah.
So you put me in network, and that reimbursement, that fee would get cut down to $140, and I don't accept $140.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say you put everything into that, I would put exactly 15 minutes into that. So that's the difference.
There's a timer that goes off, and it doesn't matter where he's at.
It's not cured.
He
It's
leaves
just,
the room.
Okay, so that brings up another point. I live in a state that has EFTA, expanded function dental assistant. And if you want to make it around here and you're PPO, you got to have your EFTAs putting those DOs in. You got to put those. And I don't. I do every single restoration myself.
Yeah. I mean, you can make an easy argument that, like, if I was a patient, I would probably want the dentist doing that, right? Like, I think that's fair. Unless you can make an argument like packing a filling, technically wise, like if you have everything cleared up, it's like putting something in a hole. Like, you could probably train someone to do that. But there's also things too where it's like, like is the wedge put in all the way, right? Like, is there any bleeding? Like, there's a lot of things that I could see myself making that argument of like, I'd probably pay a little bit more to have the dentist do that one.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is you look around in my state, and I'm hearing about new dental assistants, EFTA certified, who are taking jobs with a place that's like, hey, we're going to pay you a bunch, but they're placing fillings, and I'm like, it took me a while to get really good at fillings. Like,
dude, in Colorado, you don't even have to have a certification. You just have to get trained by the dentist.
Oh.
Yeah.
You don't have to take a course.
Yep.
Wow. That's fair.
There's some. I know, but it also, like, it's so loose that, like.
Yeah, and even on, like, I remember during COVID when it's like, oh, we need to get someone in, or like a staff member wasn't in, and you had to like go on whatever to like get a temp, and they would list like a temp assistant, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I can place fillings, and they don't know like their ass from a hole in the ground. Like, it is so bad, and I'm like, you're asking for like $35 an hour because you said you can do all of these things, and you can't do jack shit.
Or they say like, I can do fillings, and then you're like, oh, okay, and they're like, occlusal fillings, and you're like, oh, that is like one piece of it. Like, yeah, you can do the easy one where like I could teach my 6-year-old to say like, use plug, put in hole, like that's not as like, you know,
they use Play-Doh pretty well.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, I've never really done like the ones in between, right? And it's like, okay, like that's kind of what I also that can also happen today. There could be patients that could do that, right? That could need a DO filler.
Erik, yeah. We know that you would never give up your buccal pit fillings.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
No, he's really
those
good
are
at
the
those.
nicest.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, to defend the other side, I don't have EFTAs in my state, but if I did, I'd probably use them because, I've experienced. When I came out of school, I worked for an immediate denture place, right? And so all we did was take out teeth, put immediate dentures in. They had different levels of quality that they would do, and they had a lab on site. Wow. And the full set of dentures, if you bought the lowest quality, it was I think $300 or $400. And so you'd look at that and think like, I don't know how you make any money, and they got to be crap. But like when they do such a volume, and that's all they do all day, every day, and you're making a dozen arches of dentures every single day, they get really efficient. They get really, the material cost goes way down. They're really quick at it. They're really good at it. So I think the learning curve on an FDA doing fillings is going to be, a challenge at the beginning. But like once that's what they do, I think they'd be better than me at it long term, just because we get such variety at what we do, like whether it's a crown prep or an endo or an implant. And like I do, a few fillings a week, maybe one or two a day. If that's all they did all day, every day, like they were the filling assistant for the office and they're doing all the fillings, I bet they'd get pretty good at it. It just, is quite a hurdle to overcome for sure.
Well, I think in the beginning,
Deren, you got a good point.
Or go ahead, Eric.
You're good. Well, I was just going to say on that point, I don't have also the flexibility to deal with patients who are like, hey, my filling hurts. I don't. I was there. I did it. I know if something was sideways, I know I can think, okay, here's what may have gone. But if I walk out of the room and a filling gets placed and patients start calling, needing to be seen, and then looking at me like, why didn't you just do it the first time? Like that doesn't build a fee for service practice.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
And they're not paying $50 for it. They're paying full fee.
Yeah, there's expectations, right, with that, and I totally agree. I mean, I'm a total hypocrite. Like we have eddas at our practice, and I'm the one who's saying like I would probably want the dentist to do it. So like I understand that point too. But yeah, I mean, there's some, honestly, we have a couple eddas that we've used, and they've been doing it for 5-6 years, and we'll take post-op x-rays, we'll look at everything. Like we've taken some, like my associate and I, and there's been like, like you'll do a filling sometimes, you'll be like, like that could have been good, a little bit better right here. Like I could, I'll replace that for him, right? But I'll see some that my assistant has done, or one of our assistants, and I'll look and I'll be like, this actually was this is solid. This looks really good radiographically. And so I think it can work, but like you said, that's a challenge with fee for service, I think, because I think you have to
they
come
expect
in.
the doctor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what's your goal then? Like to kind of wrap up like with, the whole selling piece of it, right? So let's say you've gone through your journey, you went the PPO route, right? Like you kind of have options on where you want to sell. I think you can go like the DSO route, you can go to a private dentist, all that's fine. Do you have any like, when you're going, Eric, eventually to like retire or sell or do anything like that, like even if it's in the far future, like do you feel like you have more limited options, or do you feel like your practice could be worth less because of that key man risk of you being the like main provider and your name on it and you who's built the goodwill versus Deren or I who are like, yeah, we eventually got associates in and like we can kind of like do that like slow fade into like the bushes?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I don't have anything that's packaged up with multiple locations to sell off in a big package with a big multiple. But when I look at, if you have two practices, everything held constant, same product or same collection, I would probably say that mine's the better option because if the listing price is the same, like worst case scenario, you just pick up some PPOs, So that's why I think that a fee for service practice, if you can find them, get in there, don't change anything immediately. You can change certain things immediately if it's bad, but don't keep the prior dentist's wife working front desk. That's probably not good, but what do you do? Maybe, I don't know, or the previous dentist's husband, Alex.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. So I don't know. I feel like my thing is going to be just a normal sale. It's not going to be some larger, I don't know, package. I don't know. I don't have stars in my eyes for anything, and I probably will be working for another 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know, Deren. What are your thoughts on it, having gone through it now? Like, I think it depends, too, if, like, you were buying a practice. Like, for me personally, I just like doing buccal pits, like we said, or, like, very bread and butter, right? Like, that's just the joke of, like, I never really got into, like, I want to do, like, implant dentistry, and I want to do endo, and I want to do, like, impacted thirds. So I think, for me, or if there was a provider or a dentist who was more like, I want to be like that, I could see how either you need to... You're not as good of like a value add, right? Like we're not. Like I if I was going into a practice, I might say maybe I'll go the PPO route because I could then, it's probably easier for me to bring an associate on. I can just, there's a bunch of insurances there. Maybe new patient flow is better, right, than a fee for service practice, and that's fine. But I feel like I personally, as the like type of provider I am, would have a harder time in fee for service because I'm not the dentist who's like, I'm going to go add another service.
I mean, I think the biggest takeaway is making sure that the practice you walk into matches your skill set and desires, whether it's I want a whole team built around me and I just show up and do the dentistry and they're the ones chatting them up and learning about their kids and their vacation. And I just kind of, like you hinted at with the Homer Simpson fade in the bushes, like I just kind of disappear out of the room after I do the work. Or I'm charismatic. I love chatting with people. I love relationship building. I want to slow down. I want to be pseudo specialized. Like you just kind of have to know who you are, what you want to do, and find the practice that aligns with what you're trying to accomplish with your career. And if ownership is part of that, like what kind of practice you want to own. And kind of to Erik's point earlier, like go work for several, go work for some like I did. I worked for a couple DSOs coming out of school with various one was super bread and butter. One was the immediate denture clinic. I've done mobile dentistry. Like I've tried it all just to kind of make sure I found where my borders are, what my parameters are as far as what I want to get out of this. And I found that I like being bread and butter and super replaceable and more about the brand than my name. And so that's the brand, that's the type of practice I built, but I definitely see value for people who are a little more outgoing and chatty and want to build relationships and want to be there for 30, 40 years. Like there's value in that too. So I think that's the biggest thing is just finding what aligns with who you are and pursuing that practice.
That is a great wrap up, Deren. You can just come on and be our 2-minute wrap up guy, because that was very well said. But no, yeah, that's fun. Good discussion. That was fun to talk about because like I said, it's fun to just bring on perspectives from people who are living it, right? Like our route, Deren, right, and Alex of going straight PPO and let's build a bunch of practices and do that, and Erik who's way more like, hey, I'm going to build relationships. I'm going to be in this community. I'm going to grow my practice by being more of a pillar and doing that. So yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. I appreciate it. You guys can get to lunch. Lunch. Jeez, I'm tired. It's dinner time now. Holy shit. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your guys' night, and we'll see you next time.